Everybody, I'm Tommy and you're on the boat. What's happening? It's Saturday and it is another show. We've already done one today. This one is on Ryan James' wedding. Why are we talking about this? Because I talked about it already. This is a story that we covered in the past. Auntie KK, good to see you. Jeremy Fowler's here. Hey, Roberta. Yeah, barely had enough time to catch my breath. That's okay, though, right? I'm a YouTuber. Ask Johnny Scoville. Don't leave me hanging.
You're a YouTuber.
Thank you. I'm a YouTuber now. It started when I started telling people to hit the subscribe button. And it may not be the best, but I'm a damn good one. Good reference. You don't feel chatty? That's okay, Auntie KK. Just happy to have you here. Brock Bandy, good to have you here as well. Jeannie Hansen, there you are. I'm glad that you were on this. This is a story that we covered. Holy hell, it was over a year ago. It was right around the time that he got put on the United States of America's 10 most wanted list. And I'll tell you something, that's not a list you want to be on, because then they bring in the old U.S. Marshals and they start hunting you down. But this one's going to be fascinating, people. Honestly, this is going to be one to keep an eye on. And I'll tell you why. They're telling us that he got arrested and busted in Mexico. I don't believe that. What do you think of that? And I'll tell you why I don't believe it. P. Taylor, good to see you. Well, I'm going to explain, Johnny Scoville. I don't believe it because this happens to be a really, you have missed it, Sassy Savage. I did an update on the David and Celeste story, but that's all right, because when you leave here after hitting the thumbs up on this one, you can go over there and catch it. And I'll be talking a lot about it because stuff is happening in that, right? A lot of times when we don't hear anything, stuff is still happening. In fact, very often more stuff is happening. Whitby Island Girl, I don't believe it, Johnny Scoville. Because in that same week, 35 other people got put on a plane and sent back to the United States, many of whom are knee deep, right, in the drug trade, in the drug trafficking stuff. Knee deep. I think that the Canadians, the Mexicans are starting to get a little freaked out. The Mexican government is a little worried. This is what happens when you go into a country like Venezuela and snatch the leader out from underneath everybody's nose and bring him back to the good old US of A to stand trial. Right? That's the kind of stuff that can rock a narco state. And I'm not being disrespectful. I love Mexico. I love the people that live there, but it's a narco state, right? The cartels have as much power in that country as the government does. And the government in Mexico serves because the cartel allows them to. That's a problem. But they got to start giving the Americans something. They have been protecting this cat for a long time. He's been, by all accounts, living in Mexico like he was a regular citizen, just down there living and working his drug empire. Now, I'll tell you something else you're going to hear. He's a modern day El Chapo. He is a modern day El Jefe, right? In fact, that's one of his nicknames. They're calling him a modern day Pablo Escobar. Now, the Trump administration would like to spike the football as often as possible when it has anything to do with keeping drugs off the street. Is this guy really an El Chapo? No. I'm sorry, I don't buy that for a second, right? I just simply don't buy that. It's funny that this happened just as his lawyer was in court just down the street from, and a co-defendant was jailed. Yeah, there's some ratting going on, folks. There are some people this is one of the beautiful things about being a country like the United States of America. There were a grand total of 40 some odd people that were considered to be a part of this network. 35 or 36 of them have already been hemmed up, right? So once you get those people in there, these are guys that are looking at the rest of their life in prison with no chance of getting out. You realize how much they're willing to cooperate if you can say, hey, how would you like a 30-year sentence or a 25-year sentence? I mean, life sucks. 25 is bad, but life without, that means you're probably going to spend most of your time at ADX. You're going to be up there with the El Jefes of the world. Plea deals can be magic. They sure as hell can. And I'll tell you something. Look, there's precedent to this. There's a lot of people going, he's a white cartel kingpin. This isn't the first time. If you want to look up a guy, they called him Barbie, right? Was the guy's name. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I remember reading about him in Rolling Stone magazine. They also called him Narco Polo.
I heard of that.
We were supposed to say, right, here or whatever you say when someone says, Narco Polo. Narco Polo, because he liked wearing polo shirts. Can't blame him. With the huge polo guy on it, it kind of became a thing. And he was a white guy that was originally from Laredo, Texas, and he would jump across the border to Nuevo Laredo and back and forth. He got hemmed up. He's in the United States. He's going to spend the rest of his life here. Like so many other drug traffickers, there is not a really good retirement plan for people that sell drugs for a living. This guy did move metric tons of cocaine, right? Metric tons of cocaine. So he was moving a lot of it. So I understand why the comparisons to the big kingpins, but he wasn't a kingpin, right? Not in the traditional sense of the word. What he is a drug smuggler. Sadly, he used to be an incredible athlete. This was a guy that snowboarded for... No, before you start getting all judgy, because Johnny Scoville said, wait, he came in 24th. Hey, I never made the team, right? So making an Olympic team already makes you a stud. I don't care if that doesn't resonate with you, then you didn't spend a lot of time trying to be an Olympic athlete, because it is a very difficult thing to do. But his family moved to British Columbia when he was 12 years old, and he started snowboarding. Now, by all, full disclosure, he was wearing hard boots, and I don't have a lot of, I don't know. That doesn't seem like snowboarding to me. But anyway, he wore hard boots, which means he was a gate crasher. This was a guy that did downhill, giant slalom, things like that. Not what you think snowboarder, you think the flying tomato, guys doing, 360s and 720s and people in half pipes. It's not what he did. He went very, very fast, and he was very good at it. And he would have had to have been that cat, because freestyle snowboarders who are 6'3" and 250 pounds don't make a lot of sense. I was a freestyle skier at 6'2" and 230 pounds or whatever, and I just looked like a football player that was hanging out with all of those skiers. It is not usually, it's not normal. Usually they're considerably smaller, much more limber, but he was a guy that his speed, right, on a snowboard was faster because of his size. If you're that big and you can, put your weight into it, you tend to be quicker. And in February of 99, he got a bronze medal in the parallel giant slalom at the 1999 Junior World Championship. That's a career right there, bro. If that's all he ever did, that's a career. He got a silver medal in the men's parallel giant slalom at the 2001 Junior World Champions. So he was moving up. And then in 2002, he competed for Canada in the men's parallel giant slalom at the 2002 Olympics in Salt Lake. He finished 24th, and he retired at that point. And then he decided to get into a more lucrative line of work, right? Hey, Kristen Melinda, hope you had a happy birthday. He started to run a place called 18 Carat Farms, where he had a 6,800 plant grow operation. Woo! That's a lot of weed. 6,800 plants, Johnny Scoville. That's not growing dope in your closet, folks, right? That's miles of sea of green methods. This guy was doing it.
Bodie Miller is 6'2".
Yeah, Bodie Miller is 6'2", but he's also a gate crasher, right? He's another guy that skis fast. If you're flying through the air with the greatest of ease, you need to be a little bit smaller than that. But if you're gate crashing, that size actually helps out. Now, it does hurt if you fall, and especially with the boards that these guys use are longer than normal snowboarders. Very often they have some unusual, almost asymmetric designs to them, because they're designed very specifically to do one thing and one thing only, which is go very, very fast. You're not flipping around and go and switch and snowboarding backwards or any of that. This is a very serious discipline among people that snowboard. You're going really fast. You're going really, really fast, and it's dangerous. By all accounts, it's very dangerous. Not quite as dangerous as running a 6,800 plant grow operation, Johnny Scoville. In 2006, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police.
But how do you harvest that? How do you unload it?
Well, the way they unloaded is to the United States of America. You may remember, because this was a time when you weren't necessarily a good person yet, but the BC Boogie, right? They used to call it the BC Boogie. This was pot that came down from British Columbia, and it looked like the stuff in High Times magazine. Truth be told, didn't really have as much punch as the stuff that they're selling today.
It came about because of
it was not great pot. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a jerk. It was great pot compared to the brick stuff that they made in Mexico, but it certainly wasn't kind bud in the traditional sense of the word. But man, oh man, did they make money on it. If you ask that fake alpha male, he was buying it on the front, 1,000 pounds at a time when he was 14 years old. He wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. But so anyway, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the RCMP, right? They always get their man. Dudley Do-Right. He was a RCMP.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, they usually have horses, right? They wear those cool red outfits. At least in cartoons they do. I actually met one once that came down to interview me after somebody that worked for us ended up dead in Canada. We didn't know the guy very well. He just bought media for us when we were doing infomercial stuff. But they came down and I was like, why do I expected you to look like Dudley Do-Right? And the guy said, yeah, we get that a lot. He said, and I actually have a car, not a horse. Hey, Lacey, good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. So,
Like, comment, subscribe.
yeah, do that like, comment, and subscribe thing. I'm a YouTuber, Johnny Scoville.
Yes,
Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for notification, and hit all on that bell for notification, because as you can see, I go live often. I'm going to be doing it again tonight. At least I hope I'm going to be doing it again tonight. But when the RCMP raided the farm, seizing a shotgun, ammunition, and about $10 million worth of hemp. Yeah, but if you think about 6,800 plants, tells you how much the BC boogie was worth. For real, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it should have been a lot more than that. Anyway, it lacked evidence to charge him directly as he was not present. Boy, the United States laws ought to be that kind. Hey, I wasn't in the building. Can't charge me with it. Doesn't usually work that way in the U.S. But anyway, he didn't get charged. He started to expand his operation into cocaine trafficking by parenting with an Iranian and a Russian smuggler. He married an Iranian woman. Maybe this was his intro into that crew. They're no longer together. Sadly, that didn't work out. You hate to see it. Hate to see a marriage like that fail. They seemed like they had a lot in common. Anyway, on June 13th, 2008, he was arrested in San Diego. You know what that stands for?
Will's vagina.
Well, agree to disagree. I don't think that's what it means. It's been lost to history. No one knows what San Diego means. Anyway, he got busted trying to buy 24 kilograms as part of a Vancouver-based organization. He was found guilty on November 30th, 2009, and sentenced to 48 months in prison in the United States. That would be federal time. And I'm not going to lie to you, 24 keys and 48 months. If he was on our yard, we'd really want to be getting a good, hard look at that stuff, right? His paperwork would have been something we would have wanted to get a look at. BC chemo and the BC God Bud was a big deal in the day. It was. It absolutely was. When the stuff first started coming across the border, the only thing it was compared to was brickweed. And then the United States. Yeah, I mean, for real. Pot snobs would go, hey, what do you got? They'd go, we just got the stuff out of BC. Yeah, I'm okay. It really kind of became a pot snob thing where the BC pot was considered really good regular weed. Like it was great commercial pot, but it wasn't considered like and that was at a time where I was still skiing, and there's a lot of snobs there. And I'll tell you this by way of full disclosure, the number of people I know who skied in competition and then either as pros or for North American competition or whatever, who got into the drug trade is absolutely insane. I knew dozens of people that got into it. Some successfully managed to get in, get out, and sort of retire with fortunes. Most got caught and had to go do some time. But it was never cocaine, right? It was always weed. And it was weed because most of the people that ski and most of the people that snowboard, if they're not potheads, they sure as shit know a lot of them. It's kind of that type of a group, right? They all kind of hung out with one another and partied. It was a big thing. And weed is always going to be a part of skiing, right? You can... I remember in the
mushroom tree.
Yeah, I was about to say there was a place in Utah called the Mushroom Tree, not because they did mushrooms there, but because when the snow finally got high enough, the branches would create like a place you could ski into. It kind of looked like a mushroom. And I don't care what time of the day you skied in there were 15 people in there smoking weed. Nobody ever gave anybody any crap about it. There was a guy that used to be a lifty at the bottom of the hill, and he had a tin can taped to the wall that said roach on it. So when you were smoking the joint on the way down, you take the roach and drop it in there for the lifties. It's just always been kind of an accepted part of skiing. So it makes sense that he got into the bud part of it. But when he started selling coke, he went to prison for it in the federal system in the United States. Now, normally you're going to go to one of those kind of soft yards if you're from another country. Unfortunately, that didn't work out very well for our boy, because at the time there was only one yard that they could send him to, and it was in Texas, right? And it was run by GEO, which is a private prison enterprise, right? Now, there were some benefits. What's that?
I knew that.
You knew that. There's some benefits, like you could buy tobacco there, which you could not do any other place in the feds except Dublin, which was the exact same kind of a private run prison for women. But because a lot of these people are foreigners and because they don't have to abide by the normal Bureau of Prison rules in some ways, like commissary, they sold tobacco, probably made a fortune doing it. But the place he went to was in Texas, and they had multiple riots while he was there. There were 5 deaths over the time he was there. This wasn't a soft yard. Normally, those yards are super soft. This one was not. And they were ripping off a lot of people. A couple of judges got busted for being in on some price fixing about medical stuff. Even a political figure from Texas got hemmed up in this. He did not do soft time. But when he left, he went full bore. This guy started to move ungodly amounts of drugs. And unfortunately for him, there were some people that started to rat on him. There were also some people that ripped him off, which is pretty common when you sell drugs. It's not like the movies. If you're selling somebody 300 kilos, right, of cocaine, you're not getting suitcases full of cash. There has to be a way for you to work this out. His way was Bitcoin. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Were cryptocurrencies. He did not use Bitcoin, but he was using platforms. And I think we may end up seeing some of the people on these platforms getting hemmed up because I think they knew what he was doing, but he was moving millions and millions of dollars using crypto. That means you got to trust the guy to get your drugs and sell it. One guy ripped him off for about 300 kilos, allegedly. He's no longer with us, Johnny Scoville. This guy started to live like, what's that? Yeah, he died of natural causes. If you sell 300 kilos and you steal it from somebody, getting lead in your head as a way to die is dying of natural causes for that line of work. So now he's in deep trouble because he's whacking folks, right? Now he's got people, and allegedly one of the guys he used to work with starts to turn state's evidence. Now, he doesn't come to the United States to hang out, which would have been the smart thing to do because we would have done a much better job of protecting him. No, he went to Medellin. Oh, you've been there.
Why not?
Yeah. Colombia. And Medellin, Colombia is it's a very popular city, man. Very, very popular city. I am actually going to be doing a show on this because I've seen it happen so many times. How one person can turn a soft, tarred, hard. Look, I'm going to do a show about how a person can show up at prison with this much crime in them and leave with that much crime in them. The last thing that this guy said to the judge on his sentencing before going to prison in the federal system in 2008, 2009-ish, he said, "I have now seen what drugs can do to people, and I'm ashamed of myself." That didn't last very long. Then he started. It sounded awesome in court, right? But the guy that's hiding goes to hide in Medellin, and our boy puts allegedly a $5 million price tag on his head. It's a lot of money, man. $5 million? Yeah, it gives you an idea of the kind of money he's making. Because if you could piss away that kind of money, by the way, they seized 70 motorcycles, 80 motorcycles, something like that, and every one of them a dime. Like he's buying Aprilia race bikes and stuff like that. They estimate that there were millions, and the number's so ridiculous I don't even want to read it out loud. Right? For real. Tens of millions of dollars worth of motorcycles, jewelry, art. This is what happens, right? You've seen the movies. You saw Blow. What do you do when you have literally closets full of $100 bills? You start
weigh your money. You don't count it.
Exactly. You're taking money and putting it on a scale, right? $100 bills that you toss on a scale. You're weighing it. You're not counting it at that point. You see the machines counting money. Forget that, right? You get a scale and you get 22 pounds of $100 bills. You got $1 million. This is really a guy that got out of control. Now, if you sound this out, it does sound like he's an El Jefe. It starts sounding like this guy could be Pablo Escobar, right? This could be a guy that seems like one of those big deals, right? Here's the difference. He's an outsider. He's never going to be a cartel guy. He is a Canadian white boy, right? Now he's a corn-fed Canadian white boy. He's a big peckerwood. This dude's like 6'3" and 250, 260 pounds. They love that. He's bigger than just about everybody he's going to run into down there. And he's already proven violence. Allegedly, he's responsible for a minimum of 3 deaths. By the way, whacking somebody that's going to testify against you doesn't make the case go away. Just in case you're starting to fart around with the whole criminal thing, you can kill witnesses. It doesn't make the case go away. Maybe it worked like that in the 50s. By now, they've got his deposition. They got all that stuff. And the judge will just go, well, if he's dead, we'll just read his deposition into here. Now you can't even cross-examine the fool. You're probably better off leaving him alive.
At least I hope they didn't bling out his jewelry.
Hey, here's the funny thing, right? I've only found 3 pictures of jewelry of his. He did not bling it out, but he unfortunately won't be getting any of this stuff back. They could not fit all of his motorcycles onto 2 18-wheelers, right? We're talking about a collection of bikes here, man. And all of them are crotch rockets. It's not like there's a Harley in there tricked out. These are ungodly fast crotch rockets, which I don't know how much use they're getting in Mexico. Honestly, not really conducive to riding those kind of bikes down there, but whatever. Was this guy born in Canada? Yes, he is absolutely born in Canada. And is he being sent back to Canada? Absolutely not. He is being tried and held by the United States of America. Now, at the press conference that they held, because if you get a guy on the on the top 10 fugitive list, you're most assuredly going to hold a press conference because it makes the administration look good, right? Is Medellin still a cartel capital? It is not. Colombia is evolving. Medellin is becoming it's a very popular city for tourism. Sadly, there's a lot of tourism there that shouldn't take place, if you know what I mean, right? It has become a place where people go to victimize kids. And by that way, when I say we were there, we were in the airport. I never walked into Medellin, but we were at the airport. Yeah, I don't have any desire to go to Medellin. And a lot of people from Ecuador will say to you, oh, you got to check out Medellin. You'll love it. And I usually go, yeah, I'm good, right? I'm good. So he is stuck in the good old US of A. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police showed up at the press conference. Everybody took a victory lap on this one. By the way, in case you're keeping score, Johnny Scoville, because this is the kind of thing you're into. This was the 500th person that we have shagged off of the most wanted list in history.
We've had 6 of the top 10 in the last 12 months.
Yeah, we have knocked off 6 out of the top 10 in the last 12 months. I told you he keeps track of it. And this was the 500th overall. I guess that's something that he can brag to his cellmates about if he gets a cellmate. If this guy gets put away for the amount of time that he's probably going to get put away for, he's not going to be on a normal yard. He's not going to have a cellmate. He's going to be out there with the other kingpins, man.
Oh, he'll love that.
I haven't tripped this hard since 92. I can see sounds and taste colors. Mo, go hard to the paint. Listen, if you got some Almond Brothers, go ahead and put it on. Maybe get a glass of orange juice. You're going to be fine. Ride this out. Ride it out.
Don't drive anywhere.
Yeah, don't drive. You're just an organism on this planet. You just took a heavy drug. It's all going to work out in the long haul, I promise. If that fails, oh, damn, I was going to say you could call Rob Reiner. Too soon?
Too soon.
Rob Reiner did have some skills, apparently, at talking people down off of trips, though. So this is a guy that's going to end up at ADX.
I'm just not watching The Wall. Everybody wants you to do that.
Yeah, don't watch The Wall. Like, if you're going to put something on Alice in Wonderland, but go with the 1950s animated version of it. You'll never have a bad time watching that. The Wall, unfortunately, can make you do weird things. Start shaving off eyebrows and nipples. It's probably not a great idea. Just saying. You flew out of Cartagena once. Well, I'll be darned.
Huh.
Yeah, there's a lot of South America that I would like to see at some point, but not now. Right now, I'm pretty comfortable where I am. It is a beautiful day. The sun is shining. There's a nice cool breeze. It's warm out. It's lovely. This is the right time of year. What's about 80 degrees today?
Let me tell you, it feels like more than 80. It's 82, but it feels more like 90.
Yeah, 82, but 82 with the equatorial sun. You see, we're at the belt, Johnny Scoville. That
Right
belt.
here.
And in America right now, the whole country's friggin' hit because of the weather.
We're about 60 kilometers. We're very close to them.
Yeah, we are. We're 60 kilometers exactly from the belt that goes around the planet, that whole equator thing. So Ecuador is not just a convenient name, you see. Clever name. We really are basically on the... How did he move all these motorcycles around? It's a really great question, isn't it? I don't think he did a whole lot of moving them around. I think that more than likely we're going to hear that he had a compound right down in Mexico. And that compound, if I had to guess, was given to him by the cartels. He is a drug smuggler. He's not a cartel boss. He is a white dude from Canada. We're talking about Ryan James Wedding, a former Canadian.
153 miles from the equator.
153 miles. Okay. He is a former Olympian. He competed in Salt Lake City in the Winter Games in 2002, came in 24th. And again, don't mock that. Just getting there is really a big deal.
Had a career change.
That's a great question, isn't it? Hold on one second. I remember the first time I hung out with drug dealers. He would roll a blunt and the weed that fell onto the table, he would wipe onto the floor. Yeah. We knew a guy. I should out him too because the guy was a professional snowboarder, but we won't out him.
No.
This guy would only smoke in a bong, but he would put the flame to it and cook it and then knock the weed out. Like he would just have a bag this big full of pot that just had the top burned out of it because he didn't like the taste of anything after that first little keef hit. He was a snowboarder too, professional snowboarder. Is he really the El Chapo of 2026? Absolutely not. He's a drug smuggler.
But he would get views.
Yeah, it definitely gets views, and it gets views for the United States of America if we call him El Chapo. If we call him Pablo Escobar, it's a hell of a lot better than, boy, we got us a smuggler.
The stoner, snowboarder.
Old snowboarder and here's the thing, man. Pay attention right? Pay attention. If you are a fledgling drug dealer, take your money and run. Because what happens is you get to a point where you can't quit, right? You can't. The boys at the Sinaloa cartel go, what do you mean you're done? You're not done. There's a lot of people out there buying this product, and you're going to keep getting that product to them. But on the bright side, look, you're literally making garbage bags full of $100 bills. What?
On the bright side.
Yeah, on the bright side, you got money to burn. What are you into? You like motorcycles? Get 150 of them. The best bikes in the world. You like art? Buy it. Salvador Dali, get some originals. You're into watches? What do you like? Right? Fill your friggin' room full. He's got a lot of jewelry. This cat was wicked into jewelry.
The best things in life aren't things.
The best things in life, but you can give them to the birds and bees. Let's move some cocaine. I'm kidding. None of this is worth it, man. Honestly. And you know what? We all fall into it at some point in our life. And you can go, not me. I would never do anything like that. You stayed at a job you hated, right? You stayed at a job you didn't like because the pay was good, right? You stayed with a person that you really probably should have been gone with because the getting out of whatever you're in. I mean, there are people that stay in marriages for decades. Right now. Yeah, right. But personally, I did it for money. And I've done it many times in my life. I did it on YouTube, right? You can sell your soul and you can sell out. Somebody left a comment earlier. They said that I may be homophobic. And I'm not homophobic. I made a comment about that David cat. And here's my thing on this, right? Pay attention. It'll give you a chance to unsubscribe if I bum you out. I don't care what your sexual preference is. Don't give a shit. No, I don't give a shit. And I don't care if you want to wear a dress or anything else. It's completely up to you. And you live your life, I'll live mine. However, I get a little dicey when Hollywood starts making us seem like if you're not that person, then you're not brave, right? If you're somebody that for whatever reason just likes, if you're a girl that just likes a guy, there's something wrong with you. If you're a guy that just likes a girl, you're not open-minded, right? Everybody gets this stuff shoved down their throat, and that I cannot abide by. So if that offends anybody, but the word homophobic, right? Phobia means fear of. I'm not afraid of anybody because of their sexuality, I assure you. Nor do I give a shit who you sleep with as long as they consent. It's got nothing to do with me. And if you want to bang two of them at a time, well, that's consent. Under the age of 18, you can't consent, right? So as long as the people are consenting adults, you do whatever you want. And if you want 3 people in your bed of 2 different genders, knock yourself out. But I'm not going to let Hollywood tell 14-year-old kids that that's courageous and really cool. And if you're not doing it, then you're not as cool as the guy with the fingernail polish. That was my beef. And if that bums anybody out, down the hall, just past the water cooler on the left-hand side, there's an exit. You can kick it with your foot. If it sticks a little, because there are times it does, kick that thing. If it doesn't offend you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell for notification, because I go live often. And you got to hit all. Seriously, if you're just hitting notifications, there are 2 different kinds of those. Make sure you're hitting all of the notifications, because I put up a hell of a lot of content. And you're going to want to know when I go up. This is one of those things that we are going to be talking about again and again. I think this is bullshit, if you want to know the gospel truth. I think that the story, the way we're being, that it's being popped out. That was me. Glad you're not homophobe. No, I am not. Not in any way, shape, or form. And you're straight. I hope you get the same amount of respect for being straight as you would if you were something else. And the problem is Hollywood pushes the narrative on all of us, right? And this is why we see, that once they say, well, 2 people can get married, then every single show that's on there has to show 2 guys sticking a tongue in each other's mouth. I don't want to see a man and a woman do that. You may not believe that. I'm not into public displays of affection of any kind. I think that there's a place for that. Knock yourself out, right? There's a lot of content with me and my significant other live, and we are filthy sometimes, but we certainly don't show any kind of public displays of affection. I think that's kind of nasty, if you want to know the truth.
The public and cyber are different.
And run the world, I love you for the record. I really do. I'm 56 and don't give an F what people think of me. I don't either. But I got to a point where I started to bend my beliefs or pretend that they weren't there. Because if I said I was a Christian, I was going to lose subscribers. Or if I said I was this. And I'm getting to the point now where I'm absolutely my own guy. And I feel a lot better about it, which is why I felt the need to say that. Ryan Wedding is a drug smuggler and a very efficient drug smuggler. He's not El Jefe, right? He's not the leader of a cartel. The leader of a cartel ain't going to be an American. And he's not going to be a Canadian. That doesn't go down like that. They're going to push that narrative because right now the administration is having a lot of luck knocking out big drug people, right? And they want to keep that narrative going. Why? Because at the end of this year, we're going to see drug statistics, and specifically statistics about overdose deaths are going to get cut in half. They may even get cut 75%. And the administration is going to want to do a victory lap about that. So everything that comes up like this is going to get amplified a little bit more. Was he El Chapo? No. Was he moving literally hundreds of metric tons of cocaine? He was. But a lot of it was not just into the U.S. A lot of it was into Canada, right? He was really moving a lot of this stuff into Canada. And I'm sure that if by some chance he ever did enough time where they were going to let him out, never going to happen. But if he ever did get out of the United States, he would probably have to go face charges in Canada. There are people that got killed in Canada. This guy was having people killed. Once you go from, I just moved drugs from point A to point B, right? You start killing people, it's going to make people call you El Jefe. By the way, he liked El Jefe as one of his nicknames, allegedly, right? That's not a good look either. But this is going to be his opportunity to get back into, This is funny as hell. In high school, a friend showed me his gun, didn't care, then accidentally dropped a box of bullets, said they were silver bullets. Cool, huh? Then he says, if I ever shoot anyone, your fingerprints are on them. Lovely, okay? Lovely. Sounds like a nice guy. I'm doubting they were silver bullets. Maybe they were, but there are some casings that, although they're brass, have a silver coating around the outside of them, but who knows? The actual lead themselves, it's pretty rare that you come across them that are silver. But people think silver is worth more than it is. If you look at it, it's really not that much money. I'm glad that they're tracking drug smugglers too. This is the reason that I voted for Trump. You can hate me for that. I didn't vote for him for anything else. And I can't stand the guy. Just keeping it real. Can't stand the guy. But he sure as hell is delivering on stopping getting dope into the United States. He really has kind of turned the faucet off on that. And we're seeing the statistics. It's going to be pretty wild when we get to the end of the year and you see just how dramatic this was and how, and it's like Bernie Sanders, right? For all of you that are that lean to the opposite side. Bernie Sanders said, I'm leaving the Democratic Party. Why? Because they lied to me my entire career. Their narrative has always been, you can't just throw the switch and stop illegal immigration. Trump did. He's scaring the shit out of me with what he's doing worldwide, I promise you. I'm freaked out by the Greenland thing. I think that we are setting up right now for World War III. And not because we're pissed off at any particular country, but because there is an arms race going on that no one's talking about, right? Whatever country gets AI 10% ahead of everyone else they're competing with will never be able to catch up. So that's a real thing. And there are countries that are worried about AI and the AI arms race. The second thing is we are very close to hitting the debt spiral. I have to say that really slow or it never comes out right. The debt spiral. Try that a couple of times. That is when the amount of money that you owe on taxes, right? The amount of money that you owe on taxes is more than the amount of money that you're bringing in annually. So you bring in $21 trillion a year in taxes or whatever annually, but you owe $24 trillion a year on the interest of your money. Yet you have to continue to borrow, right? Because we spend $6 million a minute that we don't have or some such shit. So we're going to get to a point where that explodes. There's no way to not get there. And if you just do the cold-hearted thing and go, so what do you do if you get to that point? What happens to every nation that gets there? There's two options. One is to go to World War III and try to destroy as many people as possible that you owe all that money to. Then you get a reset. You restart your currency. You start everything from scratch. That's one way out. The other way is what Russia did when they hit it. And you have a yard sale. You sell off your jets. You sell off your guns. You sell off your nukes. I don't see us doing that. So while I'm not justifying any of it, I'm telling you that you can't live in the debt spiral for more than a year. It's just kind of how it goes.
Well, they won't.
It does help with population control. However, Leslie, currently there's nobody on planet Earth that thinks population control would be a good thing, right? If you're following this, we stand more of a chance of losing this planet due to not enough people giving birth for the first time in recorded history, right? There aren't enough people giving birth, right?
You see pregnant women here every time you walk outside.
Yeah.
In America, I would go a year without seeing one.
Yeah, I mean, this is the lowest birth rate that America has ever seen. And most really developed countries are facing that too, because it's more fun to hang out in your basement and jerk off with girls that don't exist, right? Girls that are built of plastic. We are creating, like, when was the term incel? Did you ever hear that before?
No.
Right? Involuntary celibates. These people can't get laid. When has this ever been an issue? No one's having kids. It's a problem. Can you protect yourself going to the police? And once there, go on record. My friend made me touch his firearm and the bullets. Might not be a bad idea, right? Might not be a bad idea. I think you're probably pretty safe anyway. The having your finger on a bullet probably isn't enough
They've
to.
all been fired, I promise you already.
Yeah, I mean, those bullets are probably long gone anyway. But no, here's the thing. I don't think there's a case on planet Earth where they lifted a fingerprint off of a bullet casing and put the person in prison over it. You're then going to go, okay, well, the crime took place on November the 3rd. There's a really good chance on November the 3rd, you won't be anywhere near that crime scene, right? The odds of that would really be slim. And if by some chance you're in that building and your fingerprints are on the bullet, then I don't buy your story anyway. You did it. They should put you in prison. Is it me? Do you think the United States Bullion Depository at Fort Knox, Kentucky, actually has the amount of gold that they say?
Sure, they've never been audited, but why not?
Here's what I believe. Today is Saturday, correct? Well, if the United States of America told me today was Saturday, I would definitely consult with all of you to find out whether or not they were lying to me. Because with all due respect, I don't believe anything that the government says. And there's reason for that. Because both parties have been lying to me for as long as I've been on this planet. And it's not hard to document. Take you 45 minutes of research to pick out how many times they have just bold-faced bullshitted us while we've been alive. And I got swept up in it, so I don't buy it anymore. I got swept up in it big time. The worst, when we were looking at what was going on with Iraq and Kuwait, and I saw that beautiful, poor young woman who was working as a nurse in there talking about babies being pulled out of incubators and thrown against the wall and kicked like soccer balls. It's one of the most disturbing things I can remember in my entire life. It also never happened. That was a campaign put on by a group of people who are that work on Madison Avenue. They are no bullshit, just an ad company. And the United States of America hired them, and they put this whole campaign together. And that little girl, she never worked in a hospital. In fact, her father was the ambassador of the United States from Kuwait. It's just a bullshit story, but I believed it. And after that happened, I just stopped saying, you know what, I'm done. I don't care about it anymore. If you're going to lie to me about something that foul so that we can go in and get rid of weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist, by the way, for all those people that call me the right-wing piece of shit, that was the Republican Party, right? We're cool on that. Now, I could go off on what the left wing did too, right? There's plenty on both sides. We've been lied to forever. So once you swallow that red pill, you'll stop giving a shit who voted for who, because you'll realize that it doesn't much matter, right? We need to do something to fix it, and it isn't going to be the left that fixes it, and it sure as shit ain't going to be the right either.
It's a one-party system.
It's a one-party system. It really is. Birth rate may be low, but the world is overpopulated. No, it's not. I'm sorry. No, it's not. You could take every single person on planet Earth and put them in Rhode Island. Think I'm kidding? Look it up. You could take everybody on planet Earth and put them in Rhode Island. I was a public speaker in the United States. I used to fly from New York to LA, from New York to Washington State, but our home office was New York, and I flew all over the country, sometimes 3 times in a week. Fly that flight at night, and it's jet black until you hit a city, and you're only going to see lights 3 times on that entire trip. It is wide open nothingness, expanses of nothingness as far as the eye can see. We're not even in the ballpark of overcrowded. They've been selling us that bullshit for a really long time, but even the evil, and I do mean evil, Bill Gates has recently come out and said, yeah, you know what? Maybe they were bullshitting us on the overcrowded thing. Maybe they were bullshitting us on the global warming thing, right? Maybe it was all just designed to sell more shit. I'm sorry. And I don't think we're taking good care of the planet. I mean, I'm not out here going, we need more chemicals into the ground. I don't want to see anybody pollute anything, right? But they cherry picked, and this was the left. All of the scientists that came out and said, yeah, the models really aren't showing that, they got fired. That's not science, right? They allowed all of the scientists to get together and compare their notes before they wrote their reports, right? That's not how it's supposed to work. You write your reports, then they can peer review it. You don't get together all at once and compare your data. Everything about what we've been told is bullshit, but you could take everybody on planet Earth and put them in Rhode Island. We can grow enough food in America to feed the entire planet. We just can't get along enough to actually deliver stuff to all of the places on Earth.
No fun anymore. The food sucks.
The party is no fun anymore, and the food sucks. Boy, you know something? There's something to that. And the last person out's going to get stuck with the bill, Kristen Melinda. Don't forget that. The last person that leaves, they don't have to just turn the lights off. They're going to get stuck with the bill, right? Look, I promise you the planet's not overcrowded. It's not. And if you think that it is,
there are pockets where it is, but on an overall basis, no.
if you believe it is, spend about 4 hours researching how life is right now in Japan. You want to be an expat, you can buy a house in Japan right now. You may not even have to pay for it. They'll just give it to you. Why? Because there's nobody to give the land to. Old people are dying and there are no kids to give the stuff to. There's abandoned properties all over Japan. They're going out of business because there's not enough people to take care of them. It's terrifying, right? But keep selling the overcrowding shit, right? Get that crazy broad from whatever who comes on and goes, shame on you. What's her name? Greta Thunberg, right? Get enough Greta Thunbergs out there to show up and tell us why we're all bad people for overcrowding. People start believing that shit. And then you get generations that come up and say, oh, I'm not going to have kids. I'm not trying to screw up this planet.
The eminent slow-moving disaster.
Yeah. The elites are all parasitic. You know what? I don't even know if I'm sure I know what an elite is. Is that somebody that wants to rule the planet, or is it just how much money you make? Because I'll tell you something. I've met some really rich people that were absolutely amazing with what they did with their cash.
Why Trump is describing
Oh, and here's the thing. I appreciate that kind of honesty. Sickly says, admittedly, I'm only going off of the population increases in the last 100 years. There's a lot more to it. But those numbers will scare the shit out of you. If that's all you look at, you're absolutely right. It is frightening. Billionaires and royalty. Okay. I think there are billionaires that aren't evil people, right? I don't think earning $1 billion makes you evil. There are some people that have taken their money and done some really fantastic stuff with it, but the people that want to run the planet, I'm scared shitless of all of them. Royalty, I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't get it. I think it's cool. It makes great stuff for movies, but I don't necessarily understand the concept anymore. I'm a little freaked out by the whole royalty thing. But I also feel like an asshole when I say that, because I'm not from a place that has royalty. So it makes it a little bit more difficult for me to understand. Now, I will say this. America has royalty, and it all lives in Hollywood. And if you've been paying attention to Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Taylor Swift, boy, oh boy, man, if Hollywood's not Sodom and Gomorrah,
it'll do until Sodom and Gomorrah shows up.
It'll do until Sodom and Gomorrah shows up. All right, people, between now and the next time I see you, do me a favor, smack that like button, right? Hit the bell for notification. Make sure you hit all, because I'm doing a lot of these things. I'm coming on. This is a short one. The reason I came on is because I talked about this a year ago. And I promise you I'm going to be talking about it when this cat's going to trial, because this is going to be very interesting. And he has found himself right now in a really untenable place to be, because he's got enough information to really put a hurt on a lot of operations. The question is, can he get anything for that information? And before you say, no chance, have you ever seen the movie Scarface? Well, of course you have. Say hello to my little friend, right? Tony Montana. So Tony Montana didn't exist. Obviously, he was a fictional character, but he was based on a real guy. He was based on a real huge cocaine dealer who lived in Miami, right, back in the 70s and 80s. And he really had tigers and things like that. A lot of it was really autobiographical. Now, that man did get convicted and went to prison. It would be a safe bet to hear he's never going to get out, right? No, he lives in Florida right now. And you know what he does for a living? He takes care of those same animals on the same property. He's even got a YouTube channel, but I don't know that I want to promote it. But he's out. He's doing well. So never say never. What's that?
Poor guy's a YouTuber.
He has a YouTuber. I swear to God. I swear to God, he's a YouTuber. But he's super into taking care of animals, and he seems like a great guy. And you know what? He's living his best life. I love people that can turn their life around. But if you think it just is a guarantee that he's busted, he's never going to get out, this dude's probably got some cards he can play. It'll just be interesting to see if he plays them and how much he thinks that that's going to work out. I was about to say, you think I'm funny? I'm funny how? Like I'm a clown? Like I'm here to amuse you? No, shut up. She's a big girl, Tommy. She knows what he's saying. Sorry. Great. Will Smith's coming up. Don't leave. Don't go anywhere. I promise you'll be hearing about Will Smith. It's coming. That's why you got to hit that bell for notification. If you don't hit all, you might find yourself here going, hey, man, did you do a show on Will Smith? And then I'll have to go, yes, I did. You're going to have to go back there and check it. So make sure you smack that on the way out and adjust, right? Make sure that you adjust. And make sure that you put down all on those notifications, because, damn it, I'm the second hardest working man on YouTube. I can't back that up. But I do a lot of true crime. I'm Tommy. I will see you tonight. Make sure you are here. It's going to be a good one. I'm Tommy. See you on the next one. God bless.